Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, back with another Sims Info and Thoughts video. So, Origin has revealed the thumbnails for all the Create a Sim and Build By items, minus the debug, of course, because they always keep those hidden away. I find it interesting these have shown up ahead of the release, because usually that doesn't happen until, say, like, all of us who are in the EA Creator Network program get the early access codes and are able to show it that way. But that hasn't happened yet this has already popped up. I know this is normal with the kits, but not with the game packs, and I think this is because we're able to pre-order this game pack, which I think is the first game pack we're able to do this with. So yeah, I was a little confused as to where this came from at first, but I will link to the Sims community article for this in the video description below. First, we'll go through Create a Sim, and by the way, these screenshots are split up, so it's not like every single item of the category all at once. If I did show them all at once, then they'd look even smaller than they already are and be hard to make out each item. So first we have a bunch of hairstyles and a little bit of clothing and accessories. I think the new pair of shoes are pretty interesting, because there's just like a lot of writing on them. I wasn't entirely sure if they were new at first, when I was like, oh yeah, that's right, we don't have a pair of shoes with that much writing, and it looks like the hairstyles in this pack are age converted for children, as has become the norm recently, but not for toddlers, which I find a little odd, because like the short hairstyle I can imagine still working on toddlers. But apart from that though, I am loving what I'm seeing here. And it is worth keeping in mind with the clothing items, it's only showing off one swatch at a time for these previews, so there is the possibility that, say, like the jacket with just the black t-shirt, there could be swatches where there are actual like patterns or designs in different swatches, so yeah, it is still potentially more interesting down the line. Same goes for the other way around too. There's some items where they look really heavily stylized with a lot of patterns for the first swatch, but then there's a few plain variants too, which is great for flexibility. Actually, before I go any further, I think it is worth bringing up a couple of tweets from SimGuru Nova, because I am going to bring up some more SimGuru tweets in a separate video, but I want to bring in this one because SimGuru Nova did confirm that nearly all of the Create a Sim separates and the full body items were made for both frames. The previews are only showing the feminine frame versions, which is why it looks a bit misleading, but they are going to show off these options during the live stream. So it looks like they are stepping up their inclusion more than in previous packs, which is really good. Moving on to the next batch of Create a Sim items, I find one of the hairstyles in the top row looks very similar to one that we got in Discover University. You know, the one that is extremely long in the back? It's the longest hairstyle we have in The Sims 4 right now. This might be a shorter version, but this looks like it is one of those hairstyles where it's hard to fully judge it until you see it in the back, because I've seen that both with Maxis items and custom content, where I see the front and I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I guess it's alright, and then I see the back and I'm like, wait, okay, this changes everything, because I don't always know exactly what the back has. It could change up the style more. Like, the hairstyle for the child next to those two, I think I can pretty easily imagine what the back looks like, but not with this Discover University-esque hairstyle. I'm liking most of the other stuff in this screenshot. On the second row to the left, there is the layered vest with the collared shirt that I feel like we have in another pack already, or am I just mixing that up with custom content that I've downloaded in recent months? I don't know. But yeah, I think there's some pretty cool stuff going on here. Oh yeah, there is also that hat at the bottom row that reminds me a lot of a hat that we already got in Outdoor Retreat, but it looks like it has ears on it, so at least that is something a little different, even though the resemblance is still pretty similar. I am also pretty intrigued by that back tattoo. And then moving on to the next batch here, for the most part we have a lot of new scars. Not just on the face, but on the body as well. So that is quite interesting. It would be nice though if we had some in the base game update before this pack though, so that you don't have to buy this pack just to have some body scars. And we are starting to see some werewolf Create-A-Sim items. I think, at least for the most part, these are just the same ones we've seen on the human sims, except it's just like when you're in the werewolf form in Create-A-Sim, then you can also select those items. Lastly, we have some more werewolf items, but some new piercings as well, which is pretty nice. And also a pair of nails. And there's the same shoes that was the first item displayed out of all the Create-A-Sim items, so I'm a little confused as to why they're showing up twice. Is one of them for children and the other one is for teens and up? That might be it. And that's it for the Create-A-Sim items. We'll take a better look at these when I do my Create-A-Sim overview when I get my hands on the Werewolves game pack, because I usually do that, but not really so much for the build buy items since I'm not as much of an expert in that area and I'm more enthused with Create-A-Sim anyways. But speaking of that, let's move on to the build mode items. I'm already intrigued by that first item. Is that supposed to be a half-open garage door? If so, that's going to be another thing that's going to make people think that cars are coming soon, even though they're probably not. And then we got a one-tile desk that is next there. I was a little confused as to what that was supposed to be, but then in my live stream the other night, someone did point that out, that it is supposed to be a one-tile desk, so that's pretty neat. We could always use more of those. Then we got a few doors and an archway. I think they all make sense with the vibe of this pack. We have like an industrial one and then some that just kind of make sense in a more wooded area. And then we got suitcases, which I'm fairly sure we can put a few clutter items on top of. Then I think that's a barbed wire fence. It's hard to tell because the thumbnails are already small enough, but then the item is even smaller within it. And then there's the floor lamp we've seen before. And then we've got that painting with the scratch on it, but that's not Vlad. So is that Greg? Is that our first look at Greg? I don't know. So maybe there are different swatches that have different occults scratched out. I think that would be pretty neat. And then we got a few plants, which is cool. And I don't know what that pile of stuff is supposed to be. Then we got a chair that looks like it's supposed to be a recliner? I don't know. That does look kind of intriguing. I mean, it would be nice if we had recliners back, even though I keep forgetting they're not even in the game in the first place. Then we got a few windows. I don't have any complaints about those. Then we got a pile of logs that kind of go by a fireplace and a pair of tires. So I think it would be interesting if we had a version of this where it's just the one tire individually, because then maybe builders could use the tool mod to rotate the tires so that they have more realistic looking tires to kind of like put on things such as mobile homes, school buses, and the like, instead of using the pool lights, which I've seen before. Then we have a log. I'm not sure if anything could be placed on top of it, but still looks like a nice decorative piece nonetheless. And then we have a table which looks like one of the legs is being held up by something. Some more seating arrangements, a bookshelf, I think, though it seems to look different from the one that I remember seeing in one of Simgru Ash's pictures. And there is a big rug as well that we've seen before. There's a lot of decor items in the next batch, including a broken mirror, a barrel. I'm not sure if there's going to be an animated fire in it or not. The cuckoo clock I remember pointing out in my reaction video. And there's some flooring and wallpaper. And I think there's scratch marks that are supposed to go on the floor as well. There's a new gnome, which we don't really get too many of these days, and there's a new bunk bed, which I was not expecting at all. There's the toddler bed that I pointed out in my reaction video, and the plants. Why do they keep doing this? Why do they keep clumping so many plants so close together in multiples? I remember even when Jungle Adventure first came out, they did one like that where there were 3 or 4 plants just clumped together as one single object, without the option to separate them, and then James Turner complained about that, and then they separated them. At that point, they should have got the memo that we don't like having them only clumped together. There should be separate, so it's just so bizarre that this keeps on going. On the left-hand side in the third row, there's also a new mailbox, which is cool. I feel like getting new mailboxes adds to the atmosphere whenever we get a new world, because mailboxes are usually displayed pretty prominently in front of a house, so when you just see like the same generic one over and over again in the new worlds, it feels a little less interesting. And I'm really glad that we're getting a new party bush, or I guess poohoo bush as James has called it before, because we don't really have any neutral ones except for one that is hidden in Snowy Escape. You normally only see it when you go to like the mountain climbing excursion, and then you see those on the way up, but they're nowhere else. It is very like hidden in the buy mode, so I actually did upload that to my gallery so that me as well as all of you can just grab it more easily. But it is definitely a lot better to have this one that's available more officially, and hopefully in more swatches as well, because the Snowy Escape one is only 2 swatches. There is also this rather mysterious box that SimGuru Morgan has been teasing on Twitter and just not revealing what it's for. The first thing I thought about was an outhouse, but the design still seems a little odd for one of those, so I don't know. I'm not sure what this could end up being. I mean, it could be a woohoo spot as well, but I feel like that isn't all that interesting either. Just woohoo in a box with a door. Okay, I guess? I'm also happy to see that those sheets are separate, because I assumed that they were fused to the windows when I saw them in that one screenshot, but yeah, that's good that's not the case. I guess also in general, I'm surprised to see so many new beds in this pack. It's like eco-lifestyle all over again in a good way. Then this last batch of objects is mostly cluttered. There's also what's either a floor tile or a wallpaper. It's hard for me to tell just off of the thumbnail alone. But yeah, I don't think I have much to say about these ones. I know the second one on the bottom row, I was a little confused at first because I thought it was like a blank frame that we could place anything we wanted into, but then I saw on a bit of a closer inspection, oh no, there is an art piece in there. So yeah, I guess that would be a cool idea to implement eventually though. So that's pretty much it. We'll still have to wait and see what all the debug and world edit items are, but I'm sure there will be some, such as the logs and the crane at the very beginning of the trailer. I did see one screenshot from SimGuru Ninja that does show the logs, so that's probably where those are hiding. So I think there could be some potentially really cool stuff going on there. It still baffles me to this day how with Cottage Living, all the new trees are hidden in debug. So to any casual player, it would look like the only new plants in a pack called Cottage Living are topiaries. Like, what the heck? So in a way, they're basically underselling their own pack, even though in the grand scheme of things, it's still a rather minor complaint. But in terms of the Werewolves, CAS, and Build and Buy, I'm really excited to have these in my game. It looks pretty top tier, and it's stuff that I've been wanting more of for a long time. More like grungy, shabby, rundown stuff, and more kind of like grunge, maybe even a little punk rock in terms of Create a Sim. So I think I will get quite a bit of use out of this, and I would not be surprised if some people who just don't like werewolves at all still end up buying this pack because they just love the new items so much, because I know that happened with vampires, so I think that is very likely to happen again. And that wraps up another Sims Info and Thoughts video, so feel free to let me know your thoughts on the CAS and Build Buy for Werewolves in the comment section below. And be sure to subscribe if you'd like to keep up with my latest gaming content. I'll talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!